and they're not quite giving up much. But that being said, it's a bit of a spread, and A&M just fell out of the top 25 this week, so no longer top 25 matchup coming to Oxford. But I think it could really be an exciting game. Now, George? What do you kind of see as the X factor for this matchup?
The biggest thing for me with this game is just the fact that Ole Miss's defense, they've been solid all year, but for this game, they're missing two of their starting linebackers simply because they got ejected on one not so questionable, but one fairly questionable call in the second half of the game against Mizzou last weekend in Missouri. I think the loss of Jaquez Jones, specifically him, is going to be felt big time by this Rebel defense. It'll just be tough for them to stop the run as well as they usually do, as well as the pass.
And yeah, it's going to be the first time that alcohol is sold in Vaught Hemingway. So, if you want to enjoy a cold beer in the Vaught tomorrow night, the game's at, is it 6 or 6:30, George?
Oh, that's a 6:30 kickoff, yeah.
And so that's new and exciting. No, you don't need to tape a flask to the inside of your thigh anymore, students. You can legally enjoy a beer in the stadium.
You can grab yourself a cold beer or a White Claw. Is it White Claw or are they selling Truly? I'm not sure.
I think they've got one of the. They've got.
It's a seltzer.
But
it's a seltzer.
None of the ones that keep us on brand. One thing that I think could be the difference maker. 129th in S&P is A&M's expected turnover margin. That means they're 87th nationally in actual turnover margin, which is still not good. Still bottom 50%. But 129th, that's second to last. That means the turnovers they're getting, S&P thinks they're lucky ones. It's not that they're getting outplayed. They're not jumping routes. They're getting lucky. That's tip drill kind of thing. So I think turnovers could be the difference in this game. If Ole Miss can control the ball a little more, we've got plenty of options to mix it up on the ground, especially if we can get out to an early lead and get a couple, even if they get a drive going, if we can pick it off in the end zone, stuff like that. I mean, obviously turnovers can be completely game-changing. So I think it'll be, that's something to look out for. If A&M starts turning the ball over, our ball security has been relatively good this season. Some fumble issues last week, but beyond that, I think that could be a difference maker. And you know what? I don't know how I feel about A&M being able to stop us on third down. They're 90th in stuff rate for runs, 91st in sack rate. It's there's some options there, and 103rd in average third down distance allowed. That means we might be able to use. I don't think we're going to get stuck in too many third and longs with our rushing options.
And the thing is with that also is we have to keep in mind the experiment that they tried against Mizzou with the double quarterback sets or the flip-flopping essentially of the quarterbacks. And I wouldn't be surprised if they keep doing that again this week. It worked out for them in my opinion. I really think that it gave them a different look against a defense that was expecting one thing or the other. Plumlee would come in and run the ball, or Plumlee would come in and just throw a short route, or maybe just a quick out route to one of the wide receivers, specifically Elijah Moore, who I don't think he's getting enough credit. Elijah Moore has been incredible this season. He gets so many yards after catch, it's mind-boggling, really. It's insane to me that he only has 4 touchdowns. He has 44 receptions.
Honestly, that's a crazy stat line when you consider how much we've been using our running backs too. And it's not like he's our only receiving option, which is that's something you love to see.
Especially, not to discredit either of our quarterbacks, but neither of them are known for their arm talent. Sure that they can get the ball downfield quickly and they can throw a bomb, but neither of them have been accurate by any means. That being said, with the quarterback situation, Kellen Mond for Texas A&M, he's experienced. He's a good quarterback. What do you think about Mond? I think he's a great quarterback, especially in the SEC.
He's been around the block, and he's not going to be intimidated by a night game in the Vaught. It's something he's used to. He's thrown for 1,600 yards so far this year, 3-to-1 touchdown-interception ratio. He's completed. Let me check what his completion rate is on the year, because they're throwing the ball a good bit. Completion rate 64% for Kellen Mond, which is better than both of our boys. Not by too much, but he's also thrown 100 more passes than Matt Corral, who's thrown or attempted the most passes. So, and one thing I wanted to bring up before we move on a little bit to the A&M talent we're going up against. You brought up again, and we talked about it a bit on Monday. But there's 2 quarterback looks, and after watching some of the game a little more, I didn't know how I felt about switching it up because I was thinking, oh well, if we put Corral in, if we pull Plumlee on 3rd and long to put Corral in, obviously we're gonna throw a pass. They're gonna be able to play to that. But when I was looking at it a little more, they were putting guys in and then switching up the play calls. They ran a draw with Corral. They let him scramble a couple times and had lead blockers ready for that option. They ran a read option or 2 with Corral as well. And then they had Plumlee chuck it down the field a couple times. So I don't know how I feel about 2 quarterback looks as a whole, but it seemed like it was working pretty well. It keeps the guys on their feet. When you've got 1 quarterback to game plan against and they're a known value, we kind of know, or the team knows what they're getting into with Kellen Mond. They know his strengths and weaknesses. They know his targets and all his favorites and all that. But I mean, Matt Corral, sophomore, has started 7 games, I want to say.
I think it's less, actually. And realistically,
Well,
Corral's a freshman.
Yeah, he didn't.
Corral's a redshirt freshman still.
Yeah, they've got probably 4 total quarters of time or film from him from last year, and then the first 4 or so games of the season this year.
Before his injury, of course.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, he didn't miss time for injury, which, to me, that's what's even more impressive about how he's been throwing the ball, especially recovering from the type of injury that he did. Like they say, it was bruised ribs. Luckily, he didn't break anything that would have, kept him out for a lot longer.
Be out.
He would still be out, yeah, if he had broken or cracked ribs. And the thing is, what kept him out so long is the fact that they want him to throw the ball. And where the muscle was bruised around his rib cage, it really pulls and stretches on your throwing arm, and you can't, reliably and accurately or even, powerfully throw the ball. And that's what they need from him. We saw against Mizzou how he throws the ball and how he does it well. He throws bullet passes. He throws fastballs pretty much.
Yeah, and their leading receiver, Osborne, I believe is his name, still only 37 receptions. Elijah Moore's got, I want to say, close to 50 on the year.
It's 44.
44.
Yep.
And Osborne's got only 2 touchdowns on the year, which that tells me, and S&P agrees with just this kind of eye test looking at their receiving statistics, when they get in the red zone, they're going to the ground. And I think in the first half, the true test, and you mentioned this before the show, it's going to be those linebackers we're missing from the targeting penalties last game. One of those was a good call, it was the right call. One of those was a little questionable, but still understandable. But since they were both in the third quarter last game, we got those guys missing for the first half. So we're going to get them back. We're going to be a lot better against the run in the second half, which is a good thing in case things start getting away from us and we don't want to let them run the ball out. But, I think if our defense can hold it down a little bit, I mean, we're allowing 420 yards a game. A&M's allowing 325. So that's a pretty significant difference, and I think that's the difference the turnovers can make.
Definitely. Turnovers are, they flip the field, realistically, especially if you get it, if you can turn the ball over in your own red zone. Sure, that puts your offense in a bit of a, tight spot to get out of that, but at the same time, that flips the field. There's no way that they're scoring a touchdown or a field goal if they don't have the ball. Yeah. Sure, if you turn over the ball, again, that flips the field. You can't score if your offense doesn't have the ball. And I think that's something that Ole Miss really has struggled with this season is, again, it's a problem they've had for years on end, is time of possession. Ole Miss, their offense can't seem to really possess the ball for long stretches. They can't seem to extend drives to, really let the defense rest. Either Ole Miss hasn't been turning the ball over much, so I can't say that, but it's either been 3 and out or deep ball or deep run by Ely or Phillips or Snoop Connor.
Either way, we don't have the ball for too long, and I think it was much more of a problem last year. I think just because we had such a dynamic passing attack.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
With a couple, NFL receivers, NFL starting receivers, too. And XFL starting quarterback Jordan Ta'amu. You want to talk about that a bit when we get done with the A&M preview?
Oh yeah,
All right, absolutely.
That sounds great.
So my kind of unknown for this game, I agree with you that kind of the X factor, the difference maker, is going to be, can our linebackers keep up in the first half? But I have no idea how good this A&M team is. They are 3-3. We're 3-4. But their only losses at the time were number 1 ranked Alabama, number 8 ranked at the time, it was week 3, Auburn, 1-score loss, and then number 1 Clemson. They've only beaten Arkansas, Louisiana Monroe, I believe, or was it Lamar? Lamar is what it was.
That is, yeah, that's Lamar.
And yeah, so they've beat Texas State, Lamar, and Arkansas. That tells me nothing at all. And the Arkansas game was a 4-point win. But they've only lost to the number 1 team in the country twice, and then number 8. Auburn shouldn't have been ranked quite that high, I think we've learned. But at the time, number 8 team in the country. I have no idea how good this team is. They've beaten every team they should beat and lost to every team it's pretty reasonable to lose to. I think they've got the hardest schedule in the country this year, and there's a reason they're 3-3 and we're 3-4.
That's the thing. These teams don't feel so far apart. They both played a good game against Alabama. I mean, Ole Miss put up 31 and A&M put up 28. Thing is, the difference there is that the game was in, well, what's interesting that the difference is that the game was in College Station, not in Tuscaloosa. But the thing is these teams just feel like they're on the same page. They have very similar records, very similar conference records.
We're actually ahead of them in conference.
Yeah, but we played an extra game against
Fair.
a conference opponent, and both teams
We also
beat.
got to play Vandy and Arkansas.
Well, that's the thing, is they also took care of business against Arkansas. That was their conference win so far. Their conference losses are ones that one already was a conference loss for us, and is probably going to be a conference loss for us.
I don't expect us to beat Auburn this year. I've just had
Especially
that
not in Auburn.
Yeah, Jordan Hare's there's something in the bushes or in the hedges down on that field. There's something going on over there.
And I mean, Bo Nix. Bo Nix has looked great so far.
I like him. I got just the eye test from watching that Pac-12 matchup week 1. It was just like, you know what, this kid's got it. And
Yeah.
he's got that SEC West quarterback name that everybody loves. So, was it 6.5 point spread?
Yeah, it's 6.5. A&M.
What's your pick?
Ooh. I know I was wrong last week. I picked Ole Miss to just take it. I was close. I was close on that pick, but close doesn't win. I'm really not confident by this A&M team. Like, this team doesn't instill confidence in me. But at the same time, Ole Miss is missing those 2 linebackers we mentioned already, and even that doesn't. I'm doing it again. I'm taking Ole Miss again.
All right, well,
I'm setting myself up to get hurt again, but I've got to do it.
we're Ole Miss fans. Setting ourselves up to get hurt on Saturdays is kind of what we do. It's
Yeah,
our brand.
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But, I think I'm going to do the same thing I did last week, which I hope I'm wrong. I think Ole Miss covers. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it'll be a really good game. I'm super excited. I've got family in town visiting, so it'll be nice for them to be, 6 o'clock game, got a full day of Groven in, but the Vaught better be electric tomorrow night. No excuses for the students, no excuses for the alumni. This is a winnable game. This is a game that we need to win if we want to make a bowl game this year, which I'm a senior. I want to make a bowl game this year. I
Please.
haven't been to one yet. Even if it's the Bahamas Bowl, I'm going. But I want to see us take this game. If you don't have it, download the Rebel Rewards app. I believe they've got a light show planned through the app. So I believe they want to do it to Thunderstruck or another similar song to try to get things a little amped up.
Yeah.
So download the Rebel Rewards app if you haven't. I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out. But
The thing is, like, something like that could go so bad so fast.
It
really could.
It could be the next, it could be the next great tradition, or it could be the next first fin, and we could just see it fizzle out because everybody hated it. But we'll see. I'm going to give it a shot, at least for like Ole Miss Sports Productions. They've kind of earned the benefit of the doubt in my eyes. If they want to give it a shot, I'll
let them
go for it.
Why not?
So I think we'll cover.
I think that's covered for this game.
I'm not going to pick the game, but I'm saying we're going to cover. I don't know how close it's going to be. Maybe we cover by 7 points. That would be nice.
Yeah, hopefully.
But
Let's
we
win by
mentioned
that
Jordan Ta'amu,
Yeah.
XFL quarterback. 7 former Rebels selected in the 2019 XFL draft, which was held on Tuesday and Wednesday. Kind of interesting how they did it. I believe this is what the XFL did a few years ago. Its first time around, assigned a quarterback to each franchise based on like area ties and associated schools, that kind of thing. And Ta'amu was signed to the St. Louis Battlehawks, and they did pick up a backup quarterback. He is expected to be the starter. He's significantly better.
Who is the backup in St. Louis?
It was someone I hadn't heard of, but let me check on that.
Because I've got the list of the rest of the XFL starting quarterbacks, and I'm looking through them, and realistically, there's only 2 that I'm realistically impressed by, at least a little bit.
So it looks like it was Roback Brogan, quarterback, Eastern Michigan, will be his backup.
No, Jordan Ta'amu is starting for St. Louis.
He will be. Yeah, he's expected and should start.
He'll start.
But that's exciting. You know, I love to see the kids succeed. They flew him out to St. Louis to, get a look at the town. Some doing a bunch of touristy stuff with the team. So I'm a Battlehawks fan just because of him. But,
Why not?
I mean, hell, he was 6th all-time in school history, 5,600 career passing yards, and like top 10 in passing touchdowns. I'm excited to see the kid play in the XFL. Hope he gets another shot at the NFL. He was invited to Texans training camp.
He was signed. He wasn't just invited. He was signed at one point to at least the practice squad, and then they cut him.
That's what it was, but didn't wind up not making the final 53 man.
I think he also had the same
Did he?
opportunity with the Colts.
Yeah, I believe. Was it him, or are we just mixing up with Swag Kelly?
No, Kelly was actually their backup, but remember he was suspended for getting
what it
drunk,
was.
dressing up as a cowboy, and going into some random person's house. I think he's back at their number 2 slot, but I know that Indianapolis signed another quarterback. But
Gotcha.
I wasn't. I think it was Brandon Whedon. I'm not sure though on that one.
But you know what? If you told me any other quarterback, high school, college, NFL, retired, dead Hall of Famer, dressed up as a cowboy after a party Von Miller threw and hung out and just like broke into somebody's house, I wouldn't believe you unless you told me it was Chad Kelly. I was like I saw that and I'm like, that's unbelievable, but sounds about right.
Yeah, it's pretty par for the course.
So,
realistically,
6 other Ole Miss Rebels signed. One of them, which I'm really glad he got signed. I think he's a fantastic player. I miss having him on our team. DeMarcus Gates, linebacker, got signed by the Houston Roughnecks. He was the leading tackler in the AAF for the Memphis Express last spring. I mean, he saw playing time every game back in, I think it was 2014 through 16. Wore the, was he the Chucky Mullins Award winner at one point?
I'm not sure.
I know he was he recorded over 100 tackles in his senior season. First player at Ole Miss since Patrick Willis to do that. Butkus Award watch list for best linebacker in the country. He got signed as a undrafted free agent by the Browns, wound up making his name in the AAF as leading tackler in that league and will be forever. And let's see who else. We got Trey Elston, also signed by the Houston. Yeah, also signed by the Houston Roughnecks. If you don't remember him, he was defensive back, mostly played safety, saw some looks at corner. But, yeah, I think he was in the NFL for a while. He was with Buffalo for a bit. And I think he was with a couple other teams.
He played for 9 teams over 3 years.
And I can't imagine he saw playing time with all of them. But that's one of those borderline guys. Maybe he can prove something.
He did have an interception on a pretty good NFL quarterback, Derek Carr.
Yeah, that's exciting actually. Just to seal a game. I just saw that against Buffalo. Let's see who else. We got Durante Bolden, offensive lineman signed by the Tampa Bay Vipers. Played right and left guard. First career start was actually when Chad Kelly threw for a school record 465 passing yards against number 15 Auburn.
Again,
he was
that's one of
also
those
on
guys.
the Memphis Express with DeMarcus Gates. Channing Ward, defensive lineman, also signed by the Battlehawks. He'll join Jordan Ta'amu. He was a fantastic special teamer.
Who's that? Oh, Ward? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was great.
Played in all 52 games in the 4 years he was there.
110 total tackles from D-line.
Yeah, and he was a gunner as well on special teams. So that's probably where a lot of his tackles are coming from.
I mean, he did play. He played in the NFL.
Yeah,
he played for the Bucks
Buccaneers,
for a little bit. He only got game time in 6, but I think that'll be good for him to get back get back into it with St. Louis. I mean, he played well. He played well enough to actually make an NFL roster. So
yeah. And I think one of our last guys, Jeremy Liggins, he
Liggins,
was
yeah.
signed as a defensive lineman for the Seattle Dragons. He played mostly offense at Ole Miss.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and he had a heck of an arm. I think he played Wildcat quarterback. He played some tight end, OT,
Whoa.
DT, and Lafayette County native. So,
Huh.
kind of hometown guy. He briefly in the NFL with the Seahawks, recovered one fumble in his career, albeit brief. And our last guy,
Last one, yeah, Christian Morris.
another offensive lineman signed by the Tampa Bay Vipers.
Yeah, I'm.
He had a neck injury a few years ago. While at Ole Miss, he wound up transferring to Tennessee State, finished his eligibility there. He was also on the Memphis Express, played all 8 games there, and he'll be alongside Bolden in Tampa Bay.
I mean, thing is, for someone like Christian Morris, with an injury like an almost career-ending injury, I think this is like the perfect type of thing for players like that, who obviously had the talent and the size and everything that they need to have a successful football career, but it just get derailed by one tiny thing. Well, I say tiny, one neck injury or one head injury or something that can really just alter not just your career but your life in general. That's just a feel-good story coming out of this, and I really like that.
Yeah. Beyond that, outside of the XFL, those are all the Rebels signed. I'm sure we'll wind up talking about that because, it's always fun to see those semi-pro leagues. I had a great time. I wound up going to the Memphis Express Birmingham Iron game up at the Liberty Bowl the only AAF season last spring. that was fun. It's fun to see these guys. It's like a little higher level college football. Of course, you lose out on the tradition, but it's really great to see these guys who, most of our guys, they weren't character issues. That's not why they didn't make it in the NFL. It's just, fizzled out. Other guys looked better or more promising, or they drafted another guy higher and wanted to prove something about their capability of drafting. But it's exciting to see these guys get a second chance, so I'm personally excited about it. Other college football this weekend are ranked-on-ranked matchups.
There aren't many. This is not looking to be a good week
No.
of college football apart from, what we'll be watching, which will be...
Couple
Excuse me.
Pac-12 games. Oregon, number 12 in the country, travels to barely ranked Washington. That's tomorrow afternoon.
I'm actually kind of excited for that game. That game should be a good quarterback matchup, in my opinion.
I can't
of course,
wait.
Herbert.
I can't wait to catch a glimpse of it in other people's tents every time I walk to and from the Hottie Toddy Potty. That is the only time I'll be seeing that game tomorrow.
At all? You're not even going to tune in? A little bit?
I might give it a shot. I'm going to be a little busy in the Grove. I got to entertain some families.
Yeah,
how
I
it goes.
get it.
Arizona State will travel to Utah to
Is
face
that in
down
Utah?
with the Utes. Yeah, that is in Utah.
Wow.
Both
Ooh.
mid-teams ranked.
Ooh.
So, I think the spread on there is
It's 14 for Utah.
that's insane.
I don't... What?
There's something going on between those two teams.
What?
Either somebody got hurt. I don't know what happened, but that's a high spread for teams ranked 4 spots apart in the top 25.
And, realistically, when was the last time you saw a Herm Edwards team get, absolutely crushed like that?
They
It's
rarely
not
do.
often. It's not often.
Don't get me wrong. They'll lose, and they do lose. But they don't get embarrassed altogether too often.
No.
And final ranked matchup of the weekend, Michigan travels to State College, Pennsylvania to take on the Nittany Lions in their whiteout game, which, if you didn't know, last time Michigan went to Penn State for a whiteout game, Saquon Barkley out of the backfield set a school record for rushing. There's something going on when they all wear white in that town. I don't feel good if I'm Michigan. They're ranked 16th. Penn State, in the
Penn State's
conversation,
up to 7.
in the conversation as a contender now. I don't feel good about that if I'm Michigan State. But beyond that, other SEC matchups you might be interested in. Some SEC West action. Auburn's going to play at Arkansas. Sorry, Arkansas fans.
Yep, nothing there. Nope.
Florida and South Carolina will showdown.
Nope.
South Carolina knocking off Georgia.
I still don't. I still have no hope for South Carolina in that game.
No.
I just think Florida's too good. Georgia's good, but to me, there's something special about that Florida defense that
There's something going on there. There really is. Number 2 ranked in the country, LSU, travels to Starkville to
Stark
embarrass
Vegas.
some-
Stark Vegas is going to be a sad, sad place this weekend. I think.
Starkville. I traveled once to Starkville over the summer. One of my coworkers down from Jackson went there, so she's like, "Hey, why don't you come up, see what Starkville's all about?" Imagine if West Jackson Avenue was a whole town. That's exactly what it's
Oh
like.
wow!
the Cotton District is like, imagine your worst bar in Oxford. Think about it. That's the best bar in Starkville.
Yikes.
And yes, it's also in a basement.
I mean, I'm just looking at this game a little bit deeper. Do you want to know the spread on this game?
I really do. I'm morbidly curious.
LSU, the away team, is 17.5-point favorites.
It's not going to be that close.
It's not. And thing is, when it comes to like spread betting, a lot of the times they'll give the home team usually probably a 3-ish point plus.
Yeah, just home field advantage,
minus.
not having to travel, that kind of thing, being comfortable there.
That means, realistically, Vegas is saying LSU will likely win by 20-plus points. And that would not surprise me at all.
That means neutral field, 20-point favorites. That's a lot.
That's insanity.
Especially, and you know what? Divisional games are always so much closer than they have any business being. Because you know the teams, you've faced down against them before. Like half the players on the team have been to that stadium before. Davis Wade isn't going to be too intimidating at 2:30 with the record they have.
No.
And then the only other game of note is when you get back from the square tomorrow night, Air Force in Hawaii kickoff at 10. That's probably still going to be going on.
Oh, is that in Hawaii? Is that like
It's
a
in
far?
Hawaii.
Okay, yeah, that's why that's such a far game.
I'm sure the Air Force can get out there.
Well, I would hope so.
That's kind of all
I would
we've
hope
got.
so.
That's all we've got on college football for this week, unless George, you got anything to add on college football?
Nothing really. I wouldn't expect to see much shakeup unless you see, well, not even that, unless somehow there's an upset, which I don't see many really happening this weekend.
If you had to pick one upset this weekend, what would you pick?
Let me sift through this whole thing again. No. I'm not saying maybe Washington over Oregon. Just maybe
and that's
because
still two ranked teams, you know?
yeah, like that's
I'm
not really.
I'm a little low on Oregon just because I have no idea how good the Pac-12 is. Just like I have no idea how good A&M is. I haven't seen too much, other than the Week 1 Oregon-Auburn game, I haven't seen too much of the Pac-12 I can compare to that I understand, like teams I know.
Yeah.
Other than that, and we haven't even played Auburn yet.
Like that's the thing. I'm looking through the rest of these ranked matchups. Boise State and BYU in Utah.
You know, if I had to pick one, it might be that.
I don't even know because, like, realistically, BYU, who'd they beat? Like, they have 2 wins. One of them is against Tennessee.
I remember chanting BYU in the student section at the Vaught. That was incredible.
Yeah.
And also,
but Tennessee's been awful this year.
I don't know. Tennessee beat State.
Yeah, but State's also been awful this year.
You bring up an excellent point, George.
Like,
so,
I don't know if I can really discredit Boise State. I'm looking. No.
I don't see a single upset.
Maybe Arizona State and Utah?
Look, they're good. Upsets will happen any given Saturday. It's college football. Things get weird sometimes.
I want Kentucky to beat Georgia.
Last weekend was close to getting a little chaotic. I was potentially excited about that, but I don't see too much exciting on the slate, but I'm excited to catch the third quarter of Hawaii Air Force in the middle of the night. That's all we got on college football for today. We're going to be back with some playoff baseball, some NFL, and we're going to give you a little bit of a basketball preview for the Ole Miss season.
Ooh.
Square Jam going on right now outside of Nielsen's. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to the G and Finn Show here on 92.1 FM Rebel Radio. We're just going to hop right back into it. Let's go with some playoff baseball. One series is over in the CS. One series is not. We're going to start with the boring series, a series that's already over. That was the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Nationals swept the Cardinals. That was just unexpected to me, really. Like, what did you have on that series? Because just the way that certain Cardinals pitchers had been throwing, it was very unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, they played like a team that belongs to be in the World Series. I saw a ton of Braves fans saying, how did this team beat us? I think if they didn't put up some runs in Game 4, that could have gone down as one of the worst playoff outings for a team in MLB history. It was miserable. They looked outmatched in every facet of the game.
That's the Cardinals, that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just making sure.
Yeah. And, I'm sorry, I was just distracted by how poor the Birds looked. And I feel bad, I like the Cardinals. A lot of Ole Miss students are big Cards fans, a lot of St. Louis and Missouri folks here. So I felt bad. I had a lot of friends that are big fans of that team, repping the Birds all week. But if they didn't put up some runs in that last game, that could have gone down as an awful, almost a historically bad playoff outing for a team that, they kind of whooped the Braves.
They really did. They took it to the Braves, and the Braves were definitely, in my opinion, like they were definitely favored in that series. I mean, they had played well all season. They had the bats. They had some pitching. That was a team, that Atlanta team, was favored for the most part in that series. The Cardinals just beat them. They just outright beat them. But then they go into the next series and lay an egg, pun intended. It was just an awful showing for them, especially for their pitching staff that had played well all season up until that point.
Yeah, and over in the AL, Astros lead the series against the Yankees 3-1. It is currently 4-1 Yankees in the Bronx.
End of the first. First just
ended.
End of
the first. All right,
yep.
so heading into the second inning, Yankees do have a lead. Got out to an early one, which they needed, but they are facing an elimination game. I still feel good if I'm the Astros. Obviously, you got a 3-1 lead. It's tough to come back from that, especially when their pitching has just been lights out.
Yeah, that's what's so weird about this start for this game that's going on right now. It's Verlander on the mound for Houston, and the fact that he gave up 4 runs in the first, let alone a single inning, let alone the first. That's just not something he does unless there's something going on or he's on short rest, which he's not. That's just a weird happenstance that I don't think we're going to see for the rest of the game, really, unless the Yankees unless he's tipping or something like that. But I doubt that. It's Verlander. He's got the 4 tools. He can throw just about anything. But that being said, even if the Yankees win this game and bring it to 3-2, I'm not confident if I'm a Yankees fan, simply because of the pitcher that they have to face in Houston in the next game.
In another elimination game.
In another elimination game, facing Garrett Cole, who is, in my opinion, having one of the best playoff runs a pitcher has ever had.
Yeah, he looks exceptional. I mean, I expected him to look great. He looks unstoppable.
And the thing is, it's not as though he's doing it in one way. He's getting people out in so many different ways. He's got a changeup, a slider cutter thing. He's got a curveball, a nasty one at that.
And that kind of in-between slider cutter thing, even the announcers barely know what to call it.
Yeah, like it's so difficult to just, you watch the movement and the rotation on that ball. You can't classify it as its own thing. You have to say, like, what is it?
It's like, I don't know what I'd call it. You just got to see it, and you'll understand.
Yeah, I don't understand how batters even see it. It just has so much weird, wonky movement that you don't know what to call it.
Yeah. So I still expect to see the Astros in the World Series. I've got them going all the way. I have since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
That's what I expect. Do you expect anything different?
I really don't. Do I think the Yankees can win this game that's going on right now? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 4-1 them at the top of the second. Sure, there's plenty of baseball to be played tonight. Definitely. I definitely think the Yankees can win this game tonight. But for the series as a whole, I'm less certain. There was one other thing that happened over the week in baseball that I wanted to get your thoughts on. I have my own opinion on it, but what are your thoughts? I know that you said you only watched Game 3, I think that was. No, Game 4, excuse me. You caught the game, you watched the game, but there was some things beforehand that you didn't necessarily catch, and that was Houston Astros manager A.J. Hinch saying before the game that if he saw any trash or anything on the field, any debris being thrown onto the field, he was willing to pull his team and essentially force people to get either kicked out of the stadium or the Yankees to forfeit.
Yeah.
Like, what were your thoughts on that?
From what I hear, and I did not see, I hear it was a couple cups thrown and then something like a plastic bag floating through, like, right field. So from what I hear, if that's true, I think it's overblown, and I think it's an overreaction. That being said, you want to expect safety and fair play from the opposing fans for your team traveling 1,000-plus miles to play a playoff series. Emotions are going to be high. If what I heard is right about kind of the magnitude of the issue, I think it's an overreaction, but I didn't catch it live. If it was worse than I thought, I understand where he's coming from, but it's playoff baseball. You're winning the series. You're going to win the series and go to the World Series. If that's true, I think it's an overreaction. If not, though, I totally get where he's coming from.
Yeah, that's the thing. From what I saw other. I don't know if it was other angles or just something different, or maybe it was just hearing from. Specifically, it was outfielder J.J. Redick. I think it was. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. He said that there were bottles, like plastic bottles and things being on the field. I know that they had to stop the game to clean things up.
Yeah.
I definitely know that there was some sort of timeout to. They stopped the clock. They stopped the game. Cleaned everything up, and got on with it. But I don't know if I'm with you or not. I think that even if it is just a small amount of debris, realistically, that's something players shouldn't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Because that's not something that should happen.
No,
there should be some sort of organizational control, even if it's of the fans. You can't let them do things like that.
And look, it's right field. They've got the bleacher creatures out there. You pride yourselves on, making life hard for the outfielders. Do it by yelling at them. I mean, we go to Ole Miss. Swayze right field is something else. I would not want to be a right fielder.
No,
traveling to Ole Miss.
Neither would I.
But you know what? Just keep your stuff in your hands. Treat them with respect, but treat them like you want them to lose.
Yeah, that's the
fine.
thing.
That's the way to do it. And we've only got a few minutes left.
Oh, yeah,
I think
right.
that's all we got on baseball.
Yeah.
Real quick, NFL.
Sure.
Monday Night Football. If you didn't catch it, the Lions got screwed.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to put it.
2 phantom hands to the face calls on Trey Flowers, who has never had a hands to the face call
in his career.
In his
ever
8-9 year career.
Yeah, he's a veteran.
Not once. Twice in one quarter, both extending drives on third down. The Lions get hosed an awful lot. This was the worst I've ever seen. It wasn't the most important game, but it's the difference between them being first and second to last in their division, which is a good division in football this year.
It's a tight division this year. Like, realistically, those 2 calls could be the deciding factor on who makes the playoffs or not.
Yeah, because the teams are both looking good. So Lions should have won that game. I saw a Packers fan. I asked him how he felt about it on Tuesday. He said, you know what, a win's a win, but I don't feel good about it.
You can't.
I'm not happy about it, but we won.
You can't feel good about a win
Thursday
like
night
that.
football, my fantasy starting quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, on a QB sneak, further aggravated his ankle injury.
Actually, no, it wasn't. It was a dislocated kneecap.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they had the MRI today. No ligament damage. Luckily, of course, you never want to see any player injured. That's just not what you want to see. No ligament damage, so he'll be back. That's actually best case scenario for a situation like that, to where he had to have his knee popped back into place on the field. Other players...
What, did they do it on the cart?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
He walked off.
Whew. Yeah, not a great day to be...
Patrick Mahomes.
Not a great day to be Patrick Mahomes, but still an okay day to be a Chiefs fan.
Still got the win.
Yeah, still got the dub, and it was a pretty effortless one at that. George, you got anything else for this week?
There aren't many great games this week. Minnesota in Detroit will be a good one. That's a noon game on Fox.
Detroit's not too bad this year.
No, Detroit's actually looked good. And the thing is, I'm the only player on that team that I've ever had any confidence in that he's a great player is Matt Stafford. I mean, come on.
Yeah, have you seen his stats?
It's not even that. It's like even just watching him, he has the presence. He's got the swagger of a starting quarterback, and a good one at that.
If you haven't seen his legendary mic'd up when he wound up faking a spike and diving over the pile, if you're a football fan, go watch it. That video made me a Matt Stafford fan. So I think that's all we got for this week.
There are a couple other good games, I think. New Orleans is visiting Chicago at 3:30.
So we're going to have some exciting stuff to talk about on Monday.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And a good preview for that Monday night game.
Absolutely. So until then, I've been John Finnegan.
And I've been George Ruggiero.
And this has been the G and Fin Show on 92.1 Rebel Radio.